Ooh, ha 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 ha. Hey everyone! Welcome back to Serving 813, a radio show and podcast featuring Tampa Bay organizations and groups every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. And welcome to this Halloween week episode. We're your hosts, Ava Lamison,
Kate Edwards,
and Lily Nisley.
And today we are super lucky and grateful to be joined with one of the faces and voices behind Meals on Wheels.
Now, if you don't know already, Meals on Wheels is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing homebound seniors with fresh, nutritious meals and a daily visit from volunteers.
So with that said, welcome to the show, Sydney Van.
It's so nice to be with you all.
Yay.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, we're so happy to have you here.
Yes, so excited for this show. So, Cindy, you are the Senior Director of Development and Engagement for Meals on Wheels Tampa. So, can you tell us on a deeper level what Meals on Wheels is all about?
Oh, I'd be delighted to. I can't believe that my title has senior in there. But yes. Meals on Wheels, our mission is to help seniors and those who are homebound due to chronic illnesses or disabilities live in their homes for as long as possible with dignity, safety, and security. And we do that by the delivery of a hot meal once a day, Monday through Friday, delivered to their homes for them in order to receive the nourishment that they need to stay healthy for a long time. You know, a few years ago, there was a national survey that went out and it asked seniors what their greatest fear in growing old was. And the authors of the survey believed that the response would be their greatest fear was death. But you know, in fact, their greatest fear turned out to be 90% of them said their greatest fear was losing their independence, not being able to take care of themselves. And you know, I can see that in my own family. I wonder if you can too. Growing old is hard.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden it's harder to drive. Neighborhoods change, families move away, and how do you get fresh, healthy food in order for you to stay healthy for as long as possible? And that's what Meals on Wheels does. By the delivery of that hot meal, we allow people to live in their homes for as long as possible. And we hear over and over again that it's that assurance of consistent, healthy food that really makes a difference for so many.
That's amazing. I think that's definitely a very important thing for the elderly when they're losing their ability to do things on their own and to have that dignity in their life. Within like the 813, how are like the meals made and how do you get them out? And
Great question, Kate. So we like to say that our mission is comprised of 3 different buckets. And the first one is that we nourish the body. So we do that by the preparation of, again, these healthy meals in our facility. Our facility is up on Hillsborough Avenue. We have a great staff of, I think there are 25 people who work in the kitchen. And they have a menu that they follow. It is a 30-day rotating menu. So there's a little bit different food served every day, delivered again to these people, and we rely on volunteers to get the meals out. So we're nourishing the body by providing our seniors and homebound neighbors with this healthy food, but we're also enriching the soul, and we do that with the volunteers who help us deliver the meals to their homes. Mm-hmm. Think about it for a second. You all probably got up this morning, said hello to your families, you went to school, you were around your friends, now you're doing great activities in the community. But imagine what it's like to wake up every day and be by yourself.
Wow. Really? I actually never thought of that. This is really important for the community. And just when I woke up this morning, my dad made me breakfast. That's something that people living alone just don't have. And
Exactly.
That's really critical.
And so that volunteer showing up and just offering a few words as they deliver the meal can interrupt that isolation, and it can make such a difference in the lives of someone who's living alone. Yeah. And it's about 40% of the people that we serve. We serve about 1,000 people every day on our program.
Every day?
Every day.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
40% won't see another person most of the time until that next volunteer comes. So that human connection is such a huge part of what we do.
Yeah, and I think that's a critical thing. I mean, to live, to have the community to be with you, and having Meals on Wheels to provide is
Absolutely
a great cause.
And when you hear the name of it, it's not just it's like Meals on Wheels, but it's not just about the meals. As you're saying, it's about the connection too. So that's a part people don't think about.
So well said. We like to say it's a meal and so much more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And are all your deliveries, that's all volunteer based? It's
We do have a few paid drivers who help us out. And, we need 113 drivers every day to carry out our mission. Wow. And inevitably, someone may have a complication at the last minute. Yeah. So we have paid drivers who are kind of on call who can help us out because we have to be very sure that everyone will get their meal.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I see here that Meals on Wheels has been around since 1975. So can you tell us about how it started and the history behind that?
We have been in service for 50 years.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a long time, right? We are celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, so we're very excited about that. Meals on Wheels started in Tampa by a woman who had family members living in different parts of Tampa, and they needed help with their meals. And she was having a hard time delivering to them. And she figured if she were having that trouble, so were others. So she joined with some friends, and they started out of a small church off of Hillsborough Avenue in Northeast. And they started serving with 14 meals and 14 volunteers. So from that small seed, they now grown until we're now doing about 1,000.
Yeah.
So.
And 113 drivers, that's wow.
That's amazing. And now it's going to be Meals on Wheels' 50th birthday this year.
Yes.
Wow, I'm glad we got you at this time.
I know. It's a Jubilee celebration. We're all very excited about that. That's a lot of meals, a lot of lives, a lot of people participating who have made that happen.
And you're obviously saying that you need drivers for the volunteer opportunity. But is there any other, what are all of the volunteer opportunities involved with this organization?
Great question. So drivers are our biggest need. We drive Monday through Friday. We deliver. On Fridays, those who need meals for the weekends receive a frozen meal pack that's also made in our kitchen. So they have food for 7 days a week, but we only do those deliveries. The meal delivery time depends on where in the community you are living or the recipients are living. So it's anywhere from about 10 a.m. to about 1:30 or 2 is the time that we need volunteers to deliver. We also, on the third Saturday of every month, have an extra delivery that goes out. It's a produce bag. We call it Produce on Wheels, or POW. And that's a wonderful time for people to volunteer as well. It's a little more flexible on the time. You pick up a bag of produce at our office, that again on Hillsborough Avenue, and then you go out and you deliver a route. A route has anywhere from around 8 people to 14 people. It takes about an hour to deliver a route, but again, that third Saturday can be a time where sometimes it's difficult, especially for students, to get out of school in order to be able to help us out, but that third Saturday is a great opportunity. Sometimes we're asked if we used volunteers in our kitchen, but we can't because we do, it's a commercial kitchen, it's just not safe. So the biggest need is the delivery.
So anyone just with a license can be a driver?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, you do have to be 18 in order to deliver by yourself. But if you can find someone, if you're under 18 who is over 18, everyone who goes and delivers a route gets community service hours. We really want to lift that up as an opportunity. For each route you deliver, you get 2 hours. So there's a quick application on our website, which is mowtampa.org, to complete to be a volunteer. And we do have a short virtual or in-person orientation that we ask you to do before you deliver. And other than that, you're good to go.
Love it. And is there a certain age range on volunteers, or is it everyone, all ages? We are
so excited that we have younger volunteers. We have moms who deliver with their kids, and then we have older people that are finding it very fulfilling. We also have businesses that come together and say that they want their staff to deliver on a particular schedule, and that's a great opportunity as well.
I'm curious, where do you guys get your food supply from?
You know, some people think that we might get it by donated, but one of the things that separates Meals on Wheels of Tampa from other Meals on Wheels agencies is our funding stream. There are 5,000 Meals on Wheels agencies across the country.
Wow.
Each one operates independently, though, so it's a little confusing. So a Meals on Wheels that you may have had an experience in Baltimore, Maryland, or in California will be different than how we do it. We are distinct in that we're part of the only 8% of Meals on Wheels that is privately funded, so we do not accept government monies. That decision was made all those years ago, 50 years ago when they started, and it wasn't for any political reasons. It was just the feeling that when it comes to feeding people, by not accepting government monies and having the restrictions that come with that, we could be more flexible and also more efficient in delivering the mission. So we do ask for a contribution from our recipients for the meals, and because of that, we do not accept donated money, donated food. That wouldn't be right to accept donated stuff and then have someone pay for it. So we use regular restaurant suppliers in order to bring us our food. The truck comes 3 times a week and delivers it. So we can also track the food that comes in. You know, sometimes you hear about recalls of food not being safe, and therefore we would know exactly where our food came from if we ever had to let our recipients know, don't eat this or don't eat that. So it's a safety issue as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's nice to see how like the community comes together, all the donations and all. I mean, you're completely privately funded, and I mean 1,000. How many did you say a year?
We serve 1,000 people a day.
A day. Oh boy, I didn't catch that. That's insane.
And that's such a great question because, you know, our full cost for a meal is $5.50 per meal, which is pretty good deal to get a balanced meal for that. But you know, so many people can't afford it. In fact, 80% of the people we serve can't afford the full price. So we work with every recipient to come up with a price that will work for them. Most people are paying on a sliding scale. I think the last time I checked, the average was $2.24 or something. But a full 20%, they can't afford it all. And it's too important for them to get their food. So the community gives to us, they donate to us in order to meet that gap in funding that's caused by serving people who can't afford it.
All right. Well, I think that already wraps up our first segment. This show's flying by, but I think we're going to do a little Halloween theme today with these songs. So we're going to play some Goo Goo Muck, if you guys are familiar. And we'll be back after this song.
And we're back. Sorry, and we're back. Welcome back to Serving 813. Make sure to tune in to live365.com every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. if you want to find ways to serve your community. Now, if you're just joining us, I'm one of your hosts, Kate Edwards, and we're here with Cindy from Meals on Wheels.
So for this segment, we want to talk more about you, Cindy, and your role within Meals on Wheels. So my first question for you is, how did you first get involved with Meals on Wheels, and what drew you to this organization?
Oh, thank you. I started Meals on Wheels a long time ago. I started over 30 years ago when we had just moved to Florida, just moved to Tampa. We had 3 young children, and, I was lucky enough to grow up having my grandparents be very involved in our lives. And when we moved, my last living grandmother was sort of in the last chapter of her life, and I really regretted not being a part of her care. She was one of those people who said she was always going to live in the home that she had spent so many years in with her animals and her trees and her roses. And, she was able to do that because there were other family members there. But I remember dropping off one of our children at a daycare or a preschool, and there were people with coolers and bags, and they were having fun. And I happened to recognize somebody from our church, and I asked them what they were doing. And they said that they were delivering for Meals on Wheels. And, I had never heard of Meals on Wheels, but they invited me to go with them. And I remember it was hot. I remember being in shorts and a t-shirt, and I said, sure. And I jumped in the car with them, and we pulled up to the first recipient's home. And my friends invited me to be the one to deliver the meal to her. And I remember walking up this woman's steps and at her door, knocking very quickly. And she opened the door, and I have to tell you, she was this short woman with bright eyes and lots of curly hair. And she looked at me in the eyes and she said, oh, are you my new volunteer who's brought me lunch? And I looked at her and I said, yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh.
She reminded me so much of my grandmother. And, I was hooked at the first house. And all these years later, I still believe that my best days, I still do deliver a route every other week. My best days are the days that I get to take meals to. There are about 9 people on my route, and see them and talk to them and have them know that for that day they were fed.
Wow, that's like, that was like love at first sight. Like, you really just jumped in. Like,
was.
Oh my gosh.
It was like meant to be.
Yeah, that's actually fate.
I think, Lily, it was that right time where I didn't even realize what a hole in my heart there was with not being able to be with my grandmother, and all these years later. And what's interesting is when I first started delivering, they all looked like my grandparents. But now I'm very lucky to have a 95-year-old father who lives here in Tampa. And so now when I deliver, I see my father in all of the recipients.
Gosh.
So it's just a new chapter for me. But, our children, we have 3 boys in our family, and they would come with me through the summers and on and off. So they grew up doing Meals on Wheels, and I remember especially when they had their learner's permits, and they would drive and we would deliver. And so it's been a great thing. I have been a volunteer for all these years, but then got on staff about 15 years ago. So.
Wow. So yeah, you've been with the organization for a long time.
I have.
And you started just like off like driving with everyone, and like that's just like you had love at first sight. Like, I'm sure a bunch of people like don't even know that that's like also what's missing for them, and like that they would love it so much. So I'm happy that we're like talking about it and able to like tell people about this so they can maybe have the same interaction and experience as you. But I want to ask, what specifically is your role in Meals on Wheels, and what does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, so my role at Meals on Wheels is I'm a director of development, and development, when it gets into the nonprofit world, means that you are working on fundraising. So I get to work with our donors and our partners. And, again, since we are privately funded and people are depending on us to be able to bring that food, whether or not they can afford it, it's a big job. We have a budget of about $7 million, and we have to raise about half of that every year from the community. So we are out and about, always trying to tell our story and talk about the impact of what we're doing and why it makes a difference. I also get to work with, we call it mission engagement. And one of the other things that we do in the community is we look for people who may not know about Meals on Wheels but need our services. So we're talking a lot more to healthcare entities because, believe it or not, people are recognizing that food is medicine, and having that consistent food has better health outcomes. And having that knock on the door where you get to see someone and talk to someone provides better health outcomes. So we're always looking for those partners who can feel comfortable and safe and want to refer their patients to us.
I'm curious, during the COVID years, like what did that look like for you guys?
Okay, remember that was just such a bitter time. Mm-hmm. I remember initially when no one knew quite how the virus was spreading, we had to really just pull back. It was especially we were concerned about our volunteers being out because we just didn't know what was up. So we had to go from rather than serving one hot meal every day to serving a frozen meal pack. At the time, we were in a different facility, and we did not have the capacity to be able to produce enough frozen meals at one time in order to deliver them. So we had to go to a vendor. Again, we would then pay for the meals that we were not buying, and then deliver them, and we would set them outside the door of the recipient and ask the recipient. We had to be sure that they picked it up, so we'd have to back up. They would pick it up. We'd be sure that they had it. It was really hard. We did that for probably about 6 or 8 months, and then we began sort of ramping up. And it turned out that over the years, as we learned more, again, we would always be masked and using hand sanitizers between deliveries, but trying to keep the contact to be much shorter and much less personal. I bet it took us 2 years to be able to get back to the once a day and feeling more comfortable.
I mean, during the toughest times, you guys still persevered and pushed through and still made Meals on Wheels happen.
We did.
That's
and
amazing.
We had wonderful supporters and volunteers who, at that time felt like they were risking a lot, but they knew it was that important. So trying to keep everyone safe. We were glad to hear that, at least as far as we know, there were no severe infections or anything that were spread. But I think for a lot of us, it was the first time that we really began to feel what it would be like to be a Meals on Wheels recipient, because we were all told to stay at home and be alone. And those were hard times for everybody.
Yeah, that's sucks that you guys couldn't have the interaction that you were talking about, like the meals and then so much more, but still that meal is just the most critical part too. And I'm glad that you guys were able to resume and get back into everything. So that's great.
Thank you.
We had been discussing off break the boundaries, perimeters of Meals on Meals. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Oh, that'd be great. So, Kate, we serve from the county line to the north, down to McDill to the south. And then on the west side, we go to the Pinellas line, and we go out on the east side to I-75 as far south as Riverview and Gibsonton. And we're excited that next month in November, we will begin serving in Apollo Beach, which again is another area that just doesn't have a lot of services. And then in the spring, we're looking forward to beginning to serve in the Thonotosassa area.
Okay, cool. You guys have really expanded. That's nice to see.
The footprint is growing.
And I imagine you guys will keep expanding in the future years.
We hope so.
So I have a bit of a broad kind of question to ask you, so you can just interpret this how you want, but it is just, what does Meals on Wheels mean to you personally?
Here's a story that happened to me a few years ago, and I wonder if this maybe would resonate for you all. One of the things I love about Meals on Wheels is they celebrate birthdays of all the recipients. And I don't know about you, but I love birthdays. I love mine. I love other people's. It's just that person's day, right?
Yeah.
All day long you get to celebrate that person. So when you're a volunteer, the way that you know that you have a birthday on your route is when you open up the cooler, they'll have a piece of cake and a card with the person's name on it. And there was a guy who was on my route at the time. His name was Mr. Judd, and he was always sitting on his couch whenever I delivered a meal. and he always had his windows open. I don't think he ever turned on his air conditioning. And he was always hungry. The first thing that he would ask me as I would walk into the house is, "What do you got for me for lunch?" As if I had made it, which I'm not a great cook, so he probably wouldn't that. But he was really waiting for the food. So I remember that day when I saw that the cake was for him. I was so excited because he was special to me. So as my friends and family will tell you, I'm a terrible singer, but I sort of make up in volume when I lack in skill. So for whatever reason, I got the food out of the coolers and I was walking up his walkway again. All his windows were open. It was summer, and I started singing "Happy Birthday" to him really loud.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got to his door, and he was sitting on the couch, and I was singing even louder, and I decided to do another verse. Anyway, I was really, I don't embarrass easily, but even I was a little embarrassed. So on my last "Happy Birthday," I glanced over at him, and Mr. Judd had tears coming down his cheek.
Aww.
And he told me, he said that no one had sung to him since he was 8 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And I realized at that moment, he needs the food. There's no question he is hungry, but he also needs to know that he matters. Mm-hmm. This community remembers him and knows him. And for me, that's what Meals on Wheels is about. It's about bringing food, but it's also about showing up and letting people know that we care about them and that they matter to this community. So many of the people have built this community, and now they just need a little extra help to be able to live independently with, with the dignity and with the hope that they would still matter.
And you forget you're volunteering because you're, building relationships.
Exactly.
It's something you enjoy. Yeah.
That people mean it. So that's my personal story of why it matters.
Yeah, that's so special. Like, honestly, I could, that was the perfect story, I think, to tell, because that just, really conveyed the feelings. It's really special.
Yes, but I think that's already the end of our second segment. It boggles me how quick our shows fly. But next song, I'm thinking some Duran Duran, "Hungry Like the Wolf." I think that's pretty on brand with Meals on Wheels.
Hungry.
All right, we'll be back after this song. And we're back. Welcome back to Serving 813. Make sure to tune into live365.com every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. if you want to find ways to serve your community. Now, if you're just joining us, I'm one of your hosts, Ava Lamison, and we're here with Cindy from Meals on Wheels. So I put up an Instagram story the other day asking you guys listening to send in questions regarding Meals on Wheels. And just like always, we got a load of responses, so let's get into it.
Okay, the first DM asks, how does Meals on Wheels help with hurricane preparedness?
Oh, great question. We're very fortunate that one of our partners, Tico, provides a hurricane preparedness pack for each one of our recipients that's delivered in early June when hurricane season is just getting started. And it has 5 shelf-stable meals as well as water, and probably most importantly, a lot of information about shelters and evacuation. So we deliver those at the beginning of hurricane season, and we're very explicit to our recipients, please don't eat any of this food. It's in case of an emergency, in case that we can't deliver for you. And then we always get a few phone calls where people say, oh, I love the Fig Newtons.
No.
So
Oh
we
gosh.
have extras so we can take them out. But yeah, that's how we prepare.
That's great. Good system.
That's really good of Tico to do that. And I know it's like, I think like all of our like electricity provider in Tampa is Tico.
Exactly.
So yeah, I didn't know they were involved in that. That's nice.
They're a good partner.
The next DM is, which I think you actually mentioned this, it says, what makes Meals on Wheels different from other nonprofits? And I think you said how you're privately funded. Is there any other things that you can think of?
You know, we are different from other Meals on Wheels by being privately funded and also volunteers. We are so reliant on volunteers. A lot of other Meals on Wheels, they use paid drivers. Understandably, it's a different kind of model. So, you know, one driver might have to deliver 80 meals or something. And we think that having that personal touch of having a community member out there delivering just gives more of a relationship to our recipients. So those are some of the distinct differences. There are other nonprofits in the area who also are privately funded, though. I want to make sure that,
Oh, yeah, because that's like all nonprofits compared to Meals on Wheels. But
Right.
All right. The next DM says, why do you think it's important for the community to have an organization like Meals on Wheels?
You know, I think neighbors taking care of neighbors just shows the strength of a community. And also, whenever we can connect with people that we don't know, I think it makes us all stronger and healthier. So taking care of people who one time were building our community and now need a little bit of extra help. But it's also just taking care of anyone who's vulnerable. I think it's what shows the best in us and makes us feel good, and it certainly helps the people who are in need, I think, know that they're not forgotten.
Well, one of the organizations we interviewed a few weeks ago was a volunteer organization that got senior citizens to volunteer, and they talked about how one of the biggest epidemics among elderly people is loneliness, and how they just need to feel like they have purpose and community and connection, and that was like their main goal. And so I'm glad that Meals on Wheels has that to focus on as well, because it's definitely very important.
I think so too. We recently heard in some medical journals that loneliness is just as detrimental to one's health as smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day or something.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Again, it's an epidemic of loneliness, and I think it's not only for our recipients, but sometimes it's also for community members, and finding that volunteer role can really serve an important attribute to their good health as well.
Our third DM asks, does Meals on Wheels do holiday deliveries like Christmas or Thanksgiving?
We do. I love celebrating the holidays at Meals on Wheels. On Thanksgiving Day, there is a really wonderful Thanksgiving meal that goes out earlier in the week, because our kitchen does kind of shut down a little bit on Thanksgiving. But on Thanksgiving morning, we have groups of volunteers come in, and they deliver that morning to the people that are going to be at home a bag that has, I think it's a pie and an apple and cards that the community members have made. And again, it's just a remembrance that they're not forgotten. So that's really fun on Thanksgiving morning. And then at the holidays, on the third Saturday of December, a whole bag goes out to each recipient that is stuffed with items that have been donated to us. Small items like toiletries and books and puzzles and maybe some socks. There's usually one gift that comes from Meals on Wheels and all kinds of just fun food and candies and things like that. So we hear over and over again, recipients will call in and say, this will be the only holiday celebration I have. So again, when the community comes together to let people know that they're part of the celebration, it really makes a difference. I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just like the holiday spirit, like Thanksgiving, it has giving in the name, like you want to just be making it extra special, so that's really great. This DM asks, where do you hope to see this initiative in 10 years' time?
Demographic information shows us that the number of people who are turning into their retirement age is exploding. It's the baby boomers who are now hitting their retirement age. Mm-hmm. And for many people, they're retiring without really knowing where all their resources are going to be for however long they live. I think we've figured out how to live longer, but maybe not always how to live better. So we look to this mission as being really important for the next generation, that we will need to be serving and caring for even more people coming up. With technology, I think that we will be able to probably be more efficient. We have recently gone in the last 3 years to have a delivery app that all of our volunteers use that it helps us reduce the amount of paper. It also allows us to be a lot more efficient in sort of tracking where the meals are and knowing kind of how long it takes to deliver a route, so we can adjust those routes carefully and quickly. So I think that technology will begin to continue to make us more efficient, but I think the need for human connection and meals will be around for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. This question asks, if you had to describe Meals on Wheels in one word, what would it be?
That's a hard question.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah. I think care and compassion and maybe kindness, those are 3 words. So we'll pick one. But
I think from what I've heard, that definitely describes
that
this organization. I think it does, like you said, a good job for both sides, not only the people receiving the meals, but also the people delivering them, giving both people a sense of just like community and purpose. And I think volunteering always fills people's buckets. It always makes you feel better, and it's kind of like a snowball effect. I think the more you volunteer, the more you want to, and so it's good. So well said.
And okay, our last DM here is, how can people get involved, and what is the best way to reach out to you guys?
So please go see our website, again, www.MOW, standing for mealsonwheelstampa.org. There is information there about becoming a volunteer. There's also information if someone needs meals and how you fill out a quick application for that. We have videos there. We have information. We'd love for everyone to go see that, and also follow us on social media. We'd love to have more followers. Again, the more people who know about us and can share our story, the stronger we will be.
Yes, love it. And I'll make sure when we post on Instagram to send all those links so you guys can sign up to volunteer. But that wraps up our Q&A portion and Cindy's time on the show. Thank you so much for being here, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love being with you all. Thank you again.
It was amazing.
Yeah, this show went by so quick. Well, I'm going to play one last song, and I was searching through all the song selections we have, and I think Spiderwebs by No Doubt. That sounds a little spooky, spiderwebs. But don't go anywhere, because after this song, me, Kate, and Lily will be reflecting today's show. Thank you again, Sydney.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this song. Thanks.
And we're back. Welcome back to Serving 813. Make sure you tune into live365.com every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. if you want to find ways to serve your community. I'm one of your hosts, Lily Nisley, and we were just here with Cindy from Meals on Wheels, but now it's just me, Kate, and Ava.
I think that this would be a great time to reflect and talk about our favorite parts from today's show.
Yes, I agree. It really shocked me when Sydney said that they serve 1,000 meals a day.
I know, it did
in
shock you.
24 hours. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this was a great show. I feel like you hear about Meals on Wheels all the time, but I didn't really have I don't know. I guess I didn't really know how their organization operated. I thought it was like she said most people assume it's meals are donated and like the food is like volunteers who make it. I thought it was that. I didn't realize they it's a well-oiled machine. They have the cooks that they hire and like to make sure like sanitary wise it's up to date. And then like the drivers are all volunteer based, and it's just great because especially since like the drivers have consistent routes, and so they're able to make connections with the people they give it to, and they're seeing them on a daily basis. I just like how their organizations run, and I feel like we got a better look into it and to see the more like personal side of it besides just like always hearing about the great numbers that they're making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like with like I said this before, but just like the like Meals on Wheels, like you just think they're like delivering stuff in the cars, like dropping it off, but it actually like is like a personal connection, and you can tell that like Cindy actually like truly like loves this so much, and like I'm genuinely like I want to get this feeling that she was getting from these deliveries, because she actually like you could just tell like she loves it so much, and like probably the people that she's delivering love it so much too, and just overall it's just a win-win situation.
I always love when our guests just like bring up a memorable moment. Like their like faces literally light up, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in the moment.
So they literally start telling the story, and I start like immersing into the story. Suddenly, I'm opening the door and getting my birthday
suddenly
cake.
I'm the one singing.
Happy birthday! I'm seeing the tears.
And I also like how Meals on Wheels isn't just confined to meals. I mean, they help with hurricane preparedness. I know that's meals, but they also they have water on wheels. They have produce on wheels. I mean, it's all of the above.
I honestly was disappointed when she said you had to be 18 to drive, because now I have to. I mean, Lily, that's great.
Yeah, some of us are actually gonna be.
Of course, the worst driver in this room is the first.
But I'm gonna have to wait till April, or I'll have like my mom in the passenger seat. I'll have Lily in the passenger seat.
No, we're gonna have Cindy in the driver's seat when we drive her around with her.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, just overall, Cindy was an amazing person to talk to. She was really sweet, and like with most of the people we interviewed, you could see how passionate she was about serving.
And how welcoming they always are. It sounds like Meals on Wheels is a very great community.
Overall, this show is just shown to us that like if you work with a nonprofit, you're just like the nicest person.
No, you're actually like the happiest person ever, and like have the best
and like
life.
they always love what they do.
They love what they do. I feel like you
that.
have to, because it's not always like high reward jobs, but
because I don't even know what I want to be right now. Like, why don't I just like pick the path of like guaranteed happiness, and like every day is like a great day? Like, I don't know why I'm not doing this. Like, I might honestly.
But yeah, I think
that wraps up today's episode. Make sure, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at Serving813 to get updated on all episodes, or if you're a nonprofit organization or just group who wants to be a part of the show, you can DM us. And yeah, I hope everyone has a happy Halloween, a spooktacular Halloween. And safe Halloween. Don't do anything bad, but we're serving your city one convo at a time. This is Ava Lamison signing off.
This is Kate Edwards signing off.
And this is Lily Nisley signing off.
We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Boo.
Oh.